I'm Dane Rose, and thank you for all of you joining me for the entire year, which is intended to be worked on in sequence, starting with the 80-20 principle. In this week 46, I want to talk about paradigms, the power of understanding paradigms, and also invite you to taste and explore my favorite paradigm right now. So the first thing to understand is what a paradigm is. And the best way to say what a paradigm is that we need a frame. We need a frame in language to be conscious of what we're conscious of. So let's look at the paradigms that we're in right now. So one paradigm we're in is YouTube. This is a lot of zeros and ones without a paradigm to frame all the data. So the information is being hosted within the paradigm of YouTube. YouTube is a paradigm of a kind of user interactive service where you either pay $10 a month for ads to disappear, or it's funded in that way. And this is within other paradigms, the paradigm of a video, the paradigm of technology, the paradigm of language. It's within cultural paradigms, the paradigm of freedom, the paradigm of individuality. And one of the places to look for paradigms is in what doesn't get spoken about. It's usually the peripheral frame. So, for example, when watching YouTube, one normally comments on the video, but in the process one forgets to comment on the paradigm in which the video is being presented, the structure, which is often more influential than the content itself, because it shapes, YouTube basically says that only video, and only video in this format, and this resolution, and this length, and this file size is available here. Now, the reason that it's so important to look at these frames upon frames upon frames upon frames and actually get a sense of where we are in that jungle of frames is that it is how reality is made in our understanding of what's real. What is real? Am I a person? Well, you understand that in the context of frames, in the context of the word person being associated with a body, in the context of what is shown to a camera typically being, existing outside of the camera, in a context of being interested in personal growth and all these different contexts. But if you take away all that, the word body, the meaning of body, the meaning of talent, then nothing exists. There is an unconscious unconsciousness when there is no distinction to say this is different from this. Without this sense of language, it all melts apart. It all falls apart into unconsciousness. So the reason to have language, the reason to have paradigms, is to create distinctions. But it's very valuable to notice that in creating distinctions, we are manufacturing a specific kind of reality that makes sense with those distinctions, because our brain is a beauty-seeking machine, a beauty, truth, and goodness-seeking machine at its best. And so it's, It's like if you begin the sentence, a sentence, of course, is a paradigm. If you begin the sentence being a paradigm, the idea of a complete thought, that's a paradigm. Complete thought of what? A complete series of words that conjure something, in the paradigm of language, in the paradigm of a sentence. If we kind of play with these in enough ways, it'll bring things to light. But it's important to understand that it's not necessarily bringing the most useful things to light. It's not necessarily bringing to light the things that would bring about well-being. Very often isn't. So if we know that and respond, then we have a lot more power. We have a lot more power when we start saying, okay, this makes sense for someone in this paradigm. One of the great examples being, if you are a hammer and all you know is you as a hammer, then everything you see will be nails, because within the paradigm of a hammer is also contained the nail. And so in a very limited paradigm, it's all we see is what fits within the paradigm. And so what are some of the big paradigms in our culture? Well, one of them is capitalism. One of them is male chauvinism. One of them is materialism, what is valuable is that which is sensorily perceived, which ties in with male chauvinism, because in the polarity of the inner world and the outer world is more masculine, the inner world is more feminine. So in a male chauvinistic culture, the outer world is always more important than the inner world. Now, objectively, if we pull back and say, would we really rather be vegetables in a beatific utopia? Would you rather be a vegetable in a utopia, or would you rather be a highly sophisticated, passionate, and in love inventor, writer, author in a hell, in the mediocrity we might call downtown, or a public school system, hellish places relative to what's possible, hellish activities relative to the full range of human expression? Would you rather be a highly alive inward person in a mediocre environment, or would you rather be a vegetable in a perfect environment? So you're there laying in vegetables, unconscious of it all, etc., and you've got your Lamborghini that you have no consciousness of and no feelings about because you're unconscious. So you're a vegetable in a perfect world, whatever that is for you. The perfect food, the perfect environment, the perfect everything, but you're a vegetable. Now, if you sit with that, I don't know about you, but I would rather pick having a brilliant, rich inner life in a mediocre outer world than be a vegetable in a pristine world. I'd rather be alive and happy mentally, emotionally, and not physical at all. I'd rather be a happy, intelligent ghost than an unhappy or unconscious vegetable in the body. That's, I think, a reasonable assessment. But it's not our culture. Our culture in the paradigm of materialism, oh, that's just a thought. Oh, that's just a feeling.
What really matters is look at this, look at this. What really matters is what's in the bank account. What really matters is blah, 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 blah. And matters to who? Matters to other people in a materialistic paradigm. Because in a paradigm of inner vitality, what matters is inner vitality, not what you have in your bank account. It has nothing to do with that. So paradigms are important. And the paradigm that I'm most interested in is in its intersection with the culture, because in good design, basically, you want to have change and design be in balance. And a good balance, for example, I do landscape design. A good balance is, for example, a very symmetrical and intelligent and grounded functional hardscape with an overflowing of chaotic, beautiful plants. This will feel very pleasing. Something that is incredibly simple and consistent, and something that's more chaotic, etc. And so you don't want to change. When you're changing paradigm, we're in a paradigm of scientific, rational, reductionist, material, self-interest and self-individuality. These are our paradigms. It's up to you. You better sort it out. It's up to you, blah, 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 blah. Now, this being our paradigm, most people are following Maslow's hierarchy of needs of security, survival, security, belonging, by frantically fitting into the culture and working as many hours as possible to make enough money so you're not on the streets, and then make it sustainable so you can relax a bit and form bonds at work and friendship. And most people are just treading water in that. And it is not producing a lot of high states of well-being. It's producing a very brittle, questionably sustainable culture. The environment, that self-centered materialism of I want this now and someone else will pay the cost over in China or whatever for the smog. This self-centered materialism is threatening the ecology of the planet that we're resting on. The ecology, another paradigm. The planet, another paradigm. And so what can we do? The paradigm of science, using measurement and numbers to form complex relationships between material, chemistry, and all that, is doing very well at bringing a certain kind of consciousness. Now, the paradigm of scientific well-being is the paradigm that I want to emphasize, because it's borrowing on the strongest point we have today, which is measurements and numbers, but bringing it away from self-centeredness, materialism, and capitalism in a myopic sense to a measurement of well-being in an impersonal sense, meaning what can be done that will create the most human well-being anywhere, anyhow, per unit of energy invested, per dollar invested. Like, can you get 3 joys for $1, or do you get 3 joys for $300,000, or 1 joy for $300,000? So this is a very important. And where's that joy coming from? For example, some people buy houses just for the feeling of self-importance, which makes them feel significant, that they get being driven around by a realtor who's month by month survival mode is dependent on making the sale. And there's nothing right or wrong with that, but $300,000 for a periodic boost of self-importance and value, it's a rather cumbersome ritual to then leave the house empty most of the time and buy another house. Just that's how you get your hit. In other words, if that same $300,000 was spent curing 1,000 blind people, all of which had their entire lives changed, it could bring much more significance and well-being ecologically, emotionally, mentally to a wider group of people that would keep on giving for a longer time. And so there's no judgment on what does it, but the paradigm of scientific well-being on a personal, town and global level is a paradigm of how can we provide and cooperate and participate to create the most amount of sustainable well-being. How can we do it? So this is the question, and the answer is part of the paradigm, because the tenets of science to measure, replicate, seek to replicate, in this case measure the ROI, the return on investment per unit of energy invested. So per 5 minutes of your time invested, how much well-being is created for you? How much well-being is created for others? How long does that well-being last? And you get an ROI on time, and then per dollar invested, how much well-being is created for you, for others? How long does it last? Now you've got an ROI on money invested. And why is this so valuable, fun, and important? Well, first of all, it jumps over chauvinism at all, because most of human well-being, frankly, is mental and emotional. You've got a third of you is your mind, a third of you is your emotions, a third of you is your body. So if you can create well-being in the heart and the mind of another human being, regardless of anything else, that's a real impact on 2/3 of who they are. That is overlooked in the chauvinism of materialism. So scientific well-being measures both equal, meaning if your body's well-being, if your pleasure in your body goes up 30% because you buy a Mercedes instead of a Camry, and you feel that in your body, okay, that's 30% when driving at a cost of $70,000 or whatever it is. Well, that's a return on investment in well-being based on time, but there are also costs associated, and the biggest one being all the other things you could have done with $70,000. So these are some of the things that so you need to measure. That's what science is about. You need to measure, if I do this, it takes 10 minutes and $5, and this and this and this happens. If I do this, it's free and takes 2 minutes, and this and this and this happens. If I do this, it costs $2,000 and it takes a month, and this and this and this happens. Now, if the thing that's free, that can be done for 2 minutes, like a laughing exercise or a quick dance or a song or a warm hug with at least a 7-second oxytocin hit, if you can do something in a minute that makes you more happy than a month and thousands of dollars, and stuff, obviously that's what you should be doing. Warren Buffett doesn't go out and say, in his paradigm of scientific capitalism, Warren Buffett doesn't go out and say, I could buy this stock that would triple in value. I could buy this stock that would double in value. I could buy this stock that would go up 20%, but I think I'll put most of my money in this stock that is going to go down in value. Of course not. He looks for the highest return on investment. Now, we're getting pretty good at that with capitalism. In other words, we are a culture that is enamored with the idea of turning $1 into $2, and $2 into $4, and $4 into $8, and turning this money into this item, and this money into this item, and this money into this item. So we're getting good at ROI, and we're all excited if we save 10% off, if we save 30% on a sale, blah, blah, blah. But when we transcend male chauvinism, masculine chauvinism, the chauvinism that overvalues, the outside, then the person that can take 10% happiness and boost it to 20% happiness, the person that can take 35% joy and turn it into 55% joy for free, or for $5, or for a train ride, or for whatever it is. That's the talent that we're looking at. How to turn one human state into another state with the least amount of time and money invested. This is a very exciting process to document, to explore, to have fun with. So enjoy, and if you will run your life and your relationships through a scientific paradigm of well-being, and look at what areas do you put most of your money, most of your time, most of your energy, or any amount of money, time, and measure the ROI in terms of sustainable well-being. Does this motivate a change? Do you change anything as a result of this video? 2, what is it? 3, do you measure the change to see how long it lasts, how good it is, the ultimate outcome? And 4, do you write and tell me what it is? Thanks again.